creation. No doubt about that, it's true.
Well, you say that. That's just something we've observed. Maybe our technology and for testing it is actually too inferior. Maybe those are like the constellations have those clouds, you know, the nebula and the clouds, what we perceive as fractals on that level. Maybe if our eyes was huge and could perceive the universe through a microscope.
Chinese broccoli? I had a Chinese broccoli in here one time. That was beautiful.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. The symmetry that we find in life, the toroid building blocks of life, the emanating from the center like gravity. But this is what I'm saying. You know, we technically, when you look at the atoms are 99.99999% empty space. There's nothing there, at least that we can perceive. There are forces of attraction, and those forces of attraction go into making the whole. So it's almost like a pinprick of solidity exists in the matter, and that's all that's really that amount of energy can really produce. But it's sufficient, given its tiny size, but its fast rate of movement relative to what we perceive, that it gives the illusion of it being solid. Just like the hologram, you know, that's just light. That's photons of light, and it hits and it refracts a certain way. And that gives us the illusion that we have a solid object in front of us. Same way I'm looking at you. The light is given the illusion that you are solid and that there's nothing more to it. But if I was to get the electron microscope and really dig down right into... No, you wouldn't see the soul. No. Because, again, it's part of a whole. This is what I'm saying. When I consume the plant, as far as I can see, died. And I can't put that life back in it. So when I consume that plant, what does that plant now do? It becomes a part of something else that's alive. I'm alive. Now, I don't perceive that plant as a separate bit, yet on the cellular level, my body knows what it's doing, and it's been programmed by the great program master we call God to do this job this way. You know? Some say it stumbled into it by an accident. What an accident. Wow. Think of all the accidents that had to happen to put together an arm and a leg, let alone a heart or a brain or a human eye. All those coincidences on top of coincidences. But life isn't really, like that. Life would be brutal, wouldn't it? Because life's always tried to take away from something else. For me to live, I have to consume something else, so that something else must die. So, wow. This is where the idea of survival of the fittest being the one that didn't get et, and we're here, not being hunted or preyed upon, but preying upon everything else, so to speak. Now, what's happened is we've lost our identity, who we are, and our relationship with the earth, because we've got all these technological gadgets. And what happens, I believe, every time a new technology comes out is man starts to question his place in the world again. You understand? So recognizing in the time of Friedrich Nietzsche that such a time had come again, there was a great blessing on the earth. Look, the Industrial Revolution, we've got steam engines, we've got increased manufacture. We know there's a negative side to that, but I'm going to just talk about the positive for now, so you can see what I'm saying. That was looked at, yes, it's a great blessing for mankind. We're going to go on to the stars, so to speak, from here. But then you have men who just sit down and question and go, hold on, I thought I knew the world I was living in, and gosh, it's changed. So now, what is my position in the world? And what are my responsibilities? Do I have any, even? Or is the machine going to take care of that as well? Well, this guy, asking the age-old question, the age-old myth, is there such a thing as a Messiah? I suppose it boils down to, he just asked it in his own way. Is the Uberman the same thing for him as the Messiah, the one that changes everything? The one
wasn't really into the New Testament.
Go on. Why is that?
Said it wasn't as good as the Old Testament.
Right, so straight away we could see, for a bunch of psychology there, that's good. I like the fact that the Bible's split into two. I used to think, well, no, it's a bad thing. But here's how you can recognise what is really going on inside somebody. Because if you're dealing with the Old Testament, you're dealing with what? The law. And the law of things gets to such an extent where it ends up like now, where you have a law for absolutely everything. And therefore, it's forbidden to do that, it's forbidden to do that, forbidden to do that. And then you end up with what? The opposite of freedom, yeah? Which is tyranny and slavery. And we don't want that, and we don't accept that. So here he is in a time when we're supposed to be becoming freed from certain burdens, the burden of maybe carrying something. We got an engine, we can do that now. And the burden of digging with our hands, we got an engine, we can do that now. You see? It's almost like the more time we get given from relief of the first curse that was put in the Bible, in the Old Testament, this is where it said, by the sweat of your brow. Now we're getting to the point where it's not by the sweat of your brow, it's by somebody else's brow or machine. And we don't even have to live like that if we, change the thinking, the Zeitgeist 3, get onto the Zeitgeist 3 thinking. It now becomes everybody's included, and realizes that machines can just take away the burden of the sweat of thy brow. So now it becomes a case of, right, we've got a new question. And what is the question? What should the question be? We can all put forward a proposal. Is the question, shall we have universal prosperity now? Because it no longer depends upon whether we can find and train people to do certain things. We can just do it. Or is it a case of, well, there's still finite resources and we have to resource manage and be honest and truthful in that sense, in a way that it's going to keep going, and keep the seed going, keep the genealogy going. Everything we do, like having children, that it's the same thing. It's the recycling, isn't it? We recycle ourselves through having children. The eternal life everyone's looking for, right, that selfishly they're looking for, I might add, they think that they're going to have their own unique individual consciousness and that's something that they get forever. Maybe it's not. Maybe it is.
Well, you've made your choice, I'm making mine, mate, we'll see.
I'd like to think that could still be me, but then there's a few problems with that. Yeah? Such as, well, you don't have a body anymore, so how does that relate anymore? Yeah? So I can play instruments now because I have hands and fingers and even ears and the perceptions I am in. Well, in that world, in the world of, I suppose, eternal frequencies and just the power of thought, who knows? Who knows what's possible? But what I'm saying is, maybe it's just our selfish behaviour that makes us so conceited as to believe that just having this bit of consciousness, like a cup of water, it's separated from the river and it suddenly thinks it's more important than the river. Yeah? But that's just for a moment, and someone drinks you go inside that body, you have this experience, you come out, you get ejected out in probably the worst possible way. Yeah? When someone goes to the toilet. Which, when you think about death, it's like, it's a humiliation, or maybe can be perceived like that. And then what's the end result of that cup of water? Ends up back in the river. Can you identify which part of that sea out there you once drank? Or, it's a recycling. The same water we're drinking now, our ancestors drank at some stage. And when the body dies, it goes back into the earth, the physical part of it. That's the part that people don't want to hear about, because that reminds them of something. And maybe it's an important reminder, because we placed this sanctity on death and then we gave it a supernatural presence all by itself. And that became the Uberman again. Yeah, Superman, he can fly. Oh, can he really? Doesn't exist. That's a fiction. No wonder people look at religion, the idea of using the power of myth to give comfort and wisdom to people, and then they've made it actually about an alien thing, as we term outer space things not of this world, things not placed in our reality and our day-to-day experience. So it is unrelatable. And once the church becomes unrelatable, people shut down and say it doesn't even exist. Because to them it's a fiction. And what the church should have done is recognise, hold on now, through each time and age, man has had a spiritual enlightenment. Yeah, I've done that. Man has had a spiritual enlightenment. And now he's at where he's at because...
This is Damien Marley, is it?
Yeah. Man's at where he's at now because he... I suppose when you say... I say ideas evolve. The physical flesh doesn't evolve like that. That's like what I believe. Yeah? But ideas evolve and other things evolve. And that's what gives us the impression that maybe we're part of that. But we're actually recycled, all of us.